Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back for another small video focusing on some deliberate practice. Today, I'm focusing on March 26th. So, at the time, this was the scanners. This is the gap up scanner, and this was the gap down scanner in the morning. And nothing, what I see right off the bat is, barely any gap ups. We had GME gapping up. Let's see. So I'm on demand on Thinkorswim, and I set the time to 9:31, so we can just visually see where we are on the chart on the daily. And we do have GME gapping up about to break that 29 range. In the pre-market, I do see we have some resistance in the 2980s. So what I would do is I would watch for that break of 2980. Not sure what the news was at the time, but if we check the gap down scanner, I do notice Nvidia as the top volume, and I see that we're gapping below previous day's lows, and it seemed like we were getting tight by the declining 21 EMA below the declining 50 EMA, and I am curious about what's going on. I also see Intel was on the list. Intel is just opening within previous days range. But at the time, we did have news from China, and they're talking about doing some restrictions on some chips. And we can see that it could threaten Nvidia's sales of one of its best chips. And I think this could be a potential big catalyst. If we look at the SOXS sector as a whole, we did a big move down recently. We came back up to test the declining MAs. We got tight, and it actually, if we were to reverse the chart, oh, fudge, we can't do that on demand. There could be potential. I just wanted to show like this could be a potential pullback entry if the charts were flipped. So I do find it pretty interesting right here. I'm not sure how much the news would affect us. So that is going to be what's on my radar. More of a, not a geopolitical catalyst, but just something I feel like if Nvidia goes down, it could bring down the whole sector. If we look at AVGO, that's looking pretty bearish, looking like a range break possibility right there. If we look at AMAT at the lows, maybe it's LRC. Everything's looking below the declining 200 MA. MU's building out a base, but it is gapping up right here, which is interesting. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to be looking at the semiconductor sector as a whole. How much risk does that idea deserve? I think the idea itself with the daily and whatnot deserves about 30% daily stop risk. I think something where the government messes up with the company could mess up the future projections, and that's what maybe would catch people off guard. If we look at the Qs, we pretty much had a big leg lower past the 1-day 200 MA, and on the 24th, we gapped up, started to go higher, but we still haven't broken the 200. It could act as resistance, so I don't know, more or less looking at today bearishly given the gap up scanner. So yes, let's go ahead and see how SOXX plays out. And I might pause this if it's looking like nothing crazy is about to happen recently. Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry. So, what do I want to see? Right? I think with SOXS, I wanted to see a big move, obviously past pre-market highs. Preferably, I want to see a move above 2380s. I want to see the strength come in. Well, in this case, the weakness, and just see if the news can prove itself, because it's not a crazy gap up in the pre-market. So yeah, going back to this, what do I want to see? I want to see a break of pre-market highs, preferably $24. And I want to see my 3-bar play pattern. I am going to be focusing on bet sizing. So I know off the bat, I want to do 30% daily stop. Now, the second part that's important to me is what the intraday looks like. I'm looking for a clean pattern. And let's see what we get. So right here, I am noticing about 38 minutes in, we actually did get a strong move. We got a rejection off the pre-market highs, and then afterwards we got bought right back up, and just some big strength past pre-market highs. These are the type of candles I want to see for a continuation type of move. I don't know if we're going to get the pattern. I don't know what time frame we're going to get the pattern on. Right now the 10-minute is too extended. Usually my type of pattern, I want to see it happen in the first 2 bars. If I'm buying on the 3rd bar up, it is extended for me. So might need to see this play out a little bit. Let's go ahead and check how the Qs are doing. Qs look like they are going to be rejecting off the 200 MA. So let's see. Let's give this some more time. All right, so right now we are about an hour and 30 minutes into the open, and I haven't seen my pattern on the 15-minute, but we stopped getting extended and we're consolidating. On the 3-minute, we can just see a really nice move up, finding support on the rising 21 EMA, and prices getting tight. Now, I do see my pattern here. We have 2 bars up, and then we have the inside bar, but we don't have the igniting volume on the quote-unquote breakout bar. But the important thing is that if we are looking at, the inverse ETF, we have to look at what it follows. And right now, what we can see is that the breakout bar that starts my pattern is actually on elevated volume, higher than the first bar. And then you can see that we closed with the relative lows to the previous bar right here, and we only bounced no greater than 50%. So right here, this is a signal for me that I am looking to get short at the break of this bar, risking the previous bar's highs. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up SOXS. And all right, so right now I need to finish grading how much daily stop risk I want to put on. I think this pattern looks really good on the intraday. It's linear, it's clean, and I think this deserves, I don't know if this is my first time doing this, but it's just like, okay, well, I think it deserves the most risk. So with that being said, I have 30% for the daily, for the overall idea, and I'm going to add another 50%, so I'm willing to risk 80% of my daily stop on this idea. So if my daily stop is 125 and I want to risk 80%, it's $100 I'm willing to risk on this setup. So let's see right here, 24.35 by 24, so 35 cents. 100 divided by 35 cents. So I'm looking to buy 286 shares. Plug that in and I'm going to set my order. So I went ahead and set my order. I'm going to speed this up and let's see how we do. Order set. I'm going to be risking off 24. Let's look at the Qs. Qs are below VWAP. Let's go ahead and look at the individual names real quick. Nvidia well below VWAP. Looks like it has a potential to break this range down below on the daily. AVGO is weak. It is breaking out of this consolidation. We still have 50. No, it's not 52 week lows. Just an important pivot in my opinion. MU, the one that gapped up, has been below VWAP. So pretty much semis are weak. Let's see how we do here. Looks like we might, yep, we just got triggered here. So I'm going to set a sell order at, I forgot how many shares I got, 286. All right. So don't mind that print. So I have 80% risk on this stop. Something that I am also looking for is I'm looking to add. See how SOXS is doing. We still do have some range to 196. We just filled this gap up right here. You know, if I'm trying to play this level to this level, I think it's, let's go ahead and I think that is some solid risk to reward to add. So I'm going to switch back to SOXS. And, you know, it looks like we are rejecting the breakout, but we are finding support on the rising 21 MA. And, you know, coming up to this part, I am going to slow it down to real time. Or just 2x because real time is kind of slow. So pretty much I want to be entering off 2450 and I want my risk as close to 2435 as possible. Now the question is, what do I risk on this? What percentage of my daily stop? Intraday looks decent. It's we did have a fake breakout, but we are finding support on the rising 21. The daily and the idea is still good. I don't know what to risk on my second entry. I feel like, you know, we could just be rejecting off the gap, but we did have some good range. I think for some reason I just want to say another 50%. I think 50% daily stop would be good. I do like this intraday price action. This just retesting the level. So we do 125, which is my daily stop, times 50. Looking to put $63 more on. So 2450. Let's see. All right, that's 30 cents. So let's go ahead, 60 by 30 cents. So that's going to be another 200 shares. I rounded down because if I am I don't want to be like a dick for a tick and just not take it if the stop would be below this bar. So on this ad, I'm looking for the break of highs, risking the previous bar low on the 3-minute. See how the 5-minute looks. To me, it just looks like it wasn't supposed to break out. Let's go ahead and set this to 2450. All right, the order is set. Sorry about being so slow. Let's go ahead and speed this up. So with this, I'm pretty much looking to risk off this bar. I am going to be too slow on this 10x speed to bring my stop up to this. You know, unless this bar closes. So right now my thought process is, you know, this is actually really tight. I might add another 20 shares if I do get triggered in, because I can risk off of this bar's low. Let's see how we're doing. The beauty about taking the pattern, yep, I just bought another 20 shares. So let's go ahead and 506. And this is, wait, this was the breakout bar, so I'm setting it below the previous bar's high. So I have a pretty decent size on, and you know, my stop's almost close to break even. And right now we get the volume confirmation right here. Solid close to the bar. Let's see how the Qs are doing. Qs are breaking lows, fresh lows on Qs. Nvidia breaking lows as well. Well, yes. And then AVGO, fresh lows as well. So what is my plan for trail? I am looking to either hit this target, this pivot target, or I'm looking to trail with the 90 MA. If we get some really solid buying in 3+ candles, then I might be looking to trail bar by bar. So 24.5 by, we're pretty much, we did hit 1R from this new entry, so I'm raising my stop to break even. And now, you know, this is a risk-free trade, and my job is to not butcher this. My job is to not mangle the trade. So I had the video paused for a second, but price is just working in my favor. We are catching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars up. Usually I like to see 7 bars up before I try to do a bar by bar trail, just to have price prove itself. That's more of like a discretionary call. Gonna move my stop up a little bit. So remember, I am looking for a close below the 90 MA and then a break below. Once the bar closes, then I set my stop to the low of that bar. Qs are weak, consolidating at the lows. As we can see on the daily chart, you know, we're rejecting off the 200 MA, just a very important level. Oh, we have SOXS testing that. We broke below, undercut reclaim on the 90 MA. They say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the problems. So we do have this candle closing below. I'm not going to set my stop too tight. I'm going to set it at 24.74. I don't want to get picked off at 24.75. And wow, yeah, this might be an example where, you know, you don't want to set your stop too close. Just if you believe in the idea, Don't just set it like a penny away, especially for like a $24 stock. You don't want to put it right at the lows. I would have gotten tagged out here at 76. But this is a good place to put the stop in case price does reverse. All right, so looking at SOXS, we are approaching this level. I think it might be smart for me to take off some size here. I'm gonna sell. I forgot how many shares I had. 500, so I'll take off 200. Took off 200. I'm gonna rearrange this to 306. Let's go ahead and take a look at SOXS or XOXX. Now, did I make the right move? I don't know. First leg down, second leg down, third leg down, which I'm taking off some of my size. I think that is the right move. It didn't get to the level, but it's on its way. Took off less than half size, so I think to how extended we are into the move, I mean, if you look at the 30-minute, it's just consistent selling. Never violates the previous bar's highs. If I were to think about maybe even adding an additional piece of size, it would probably, I mean, this is hindsight, but it looks like it would be right here at the break of fresh lows. That this would be the first or the third leg down, so I don't want to risk a lot. Maybe like 20% daily size, something to think about in the future. Looks like we're slowing down. These are prints from another time. At this point, you know, I don't want to mangle the trade. There's no reason for me to get out fully. Let's see the Qs. Yeah, Qs completely retraced the gap low. Let's see if it could fill the gap. Not really sure. I didn't take solid notes on what was going on in the pre-market. This is the only news headline that I caught beforehand. Qs are catching a bit. All right, here we go. Looks like, all right, set my stop, and we got tagged out. That pretty much sums it up for the SOX trade. It was trended very nicely. Let's go ahead and look at the analytics. Ignore all this. And with this SOXS, I locked in $431. The whole time was 2 hours, which makes sense because the pattern was on a higher time frame. So 125 divided by 431. Whoops, 431 divided by 125. So that is a 344% daily stop gain. This is, you know, something I need to be swinging the bat. This type of setup right here, you know, it doesn't look like much, but we let price prove itself, and we really saw those sellers come in. And I think I think I graded the news and whatnot, the daily chart, a good amount. I think, the news could have went another way. I think I did good on determining my bet sizing. One thing that did pop up was how to think about it when I'm trying to add on the setup. So pretty much I had 80% down and made 300 and 340. So 344 divided by 80. Pretty much made like 4 to 1 on my money, 4.3 to 1, which is pretty good. This is a type of setup that had my bread and butter pattern and something I really want to be focusing on in the future, and trying to bet more on. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for this deliberate practice session. Thanks, y'all.